Hello, everybody. No, not really. Let me just, it didn't start. What happened? Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whatever part of the world you are attending from. Today, we are coming into yet another meetup from Dynamics 365 Champs on something cool. We have a great speaker from Europe, right? And very early in the morning. Thanks for taking the time out. 25th of September 2021, Pune chapter. My host alongside today, co-host alongside with me today is Preeti, who is going to have the start over a bit after what I am going to discuss. So, what's the agenda for today? As usual, who we are and how can you connect with us. So many times we keep trying to get new people to connect and to speak. Just like today, we have a great speaker from Europe, and we want to make people understand what is D365 Champs, who we are, and how you can connect with us. So we are going to start with that. Then, since Dynamics 365 and Power Platform is such a fast-paced environment, we want to share news updates and upcoming events so that you don't miss out, right? So that's kind of a quick news bulletin kind of section. And then we are going to talk about getting started with Microsoft Power BI by Triparna. I will leave that part to Preeti. I'm not going to deep dwell into that. And then followed by Q&A, right? So let's quickly understand what we are. This is a good slide for me because I have been around since 2018 on this one. Yeah. So in 2018, there were some community folks, bunch of us, which found that there are communities thriving in other parts of the world, North America, Europe, and elsewhere. Whereas we didn't see something happening in Southeast Asia. There was no concept of a community. There are three pillars to a community: Microsoft, the mothership themselves, which we all respect, and that's bread and butter basically. And then we have customers, and then we have partners, right? So community is a open forum for everybody to come in and do knowledge sharing to help out each other. That's the idea of the community. So we found out that in 2018 we want to do something around that. 2019, 10 of the leads actually teamed up and started the first chapter in Singapore. We kept growing. 2020, we have members and leads from almost everywhere. 2020, today we have 6.2K LinkedIn, 950 plus approximate on our Kaizala membership. And then we have portal as well, 1350 plus people. There's a dedicated portal we ended up developing. And we also have a good Twitter following as well. So Roma, our Flash Twitter MVP, has done a good work with Twitter as well. And then there are a bunch of others, including Preeti, Shalini, and others who have worked on our social media. So it's all run by techies, for the techies, to the techies. Future, we have a lot of new interesting initiatives coming up. How do you get in touch with us? Well, you need to do is scan that QR code, or you can follow any of these mediums and keep connecting to us. We do meetups few times every month, right? Having said that, I will move over to Preeti. My job here is done. I think if you want to take over from here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Dipesh. Okay, so continuing, if you want to speak at any of our Power Platform meetups that we host mostly twice a month, so you can follow the link or and give us a call out, and we'll surely reach you out. About quick updates from the Microsoft. The Microsoft Ignite is happening on 2nd and 4th November, so that you can explore latest tools, training sessions, technical expertise, networking opportunities, and cloud skill challenges, and there's much more. Another is that Microsoft has announced the public preview of generating Power FX formulas for examples. That means you can now get suggestions for formula in Power Apps by just providing the desired output. So just pick one and apply it to check the results, which perfectly meets your expectations. That's quite a cool feature. Just go and check out. Another is announced a public preview of Power Apps that's respecting conditional access on individual apps. It means that you can now enforce one or more conditional access policies to your apps, different conditional access requirements for different apps. And it's no longer an all or nothing application across all Power Platform, all Power Apps. So that's another great thing coming along. And the last one is the product update is about co-presence in Power Automate. And it's really a great news for developers. You can now collaborate, share, and concurrently edit the flows. It also detects the conflicts and presents appropriate options to refresh and save a copy of the flow. It becomes very handy and useful while working on large and complex flows. So that's all from Microsoft News. And updates about the community is that we already have announced the global annual event of the year. That's Global BizApps Weekend. That's how we call it. It's going to happen on 20 and 21st November. So keep tuned and follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter for more updates. The CFS is already open for the same event, Global BizApps Weekend. So if you find and if you feel that you have some really great insights and would like to share it with the community on a global platform, you're most welcome. Just give us a shout out and we'll reach you back. Recordings from past meetups are on the YouTube channel and the CHAMPS portal. You can surely go and visit the link and refer to the past recordings. We would also like to thank our sponsors for today's event and hosting the Power Platform meetups and supporting us throughout. Thank you, Dynamicity. We are greatly thankful to you. And lastly, about Triparna. So this session is going to be discussed by Triparna. She is a business intelligence expert with a vast experience of more than 15 years. So she has been delivering and implementing solutions across Microsoft BI stack and Power BI and really acing at it. She loves sharing her experiences and helping people with similar interests. So today's topic is about getting started with Microsoft Power BI. And I would like to hand over the stage to Triparna herself and continue with the session. Over to you, Triparna.
Yeah, thanks, Preeti. Thanks.
Just a second before that, since Prashant just joined in, I remembered one thing, which is this session is getting recorded. So all the views and expressions that you share here are independent views and expressions. We are going to publicly share this later on our YouTube channel. So just to make everybody aware. Thank you. Over to you, Triparna. Sorry to bother you.
No, sure. Thank you. So is my screen visible?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Not yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, it's visible now.
We can see it now.
Yeah. Yeah, hi everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining. And it's such a pleasure to be here and just hearing from Preeti and Dipesh. Like it's really nice to have an opportunity to present here. So today we will be talking about like Microsoft Power BI. So many of you must have heard or read or started thinking about it. So I think it's a good area to start with, and let's see how we can bring you to this exciting journey. So just a brief background about myself. As Preeti mentioned, like I'm working as a BI architect and Power BI consultant with IBM, like more than 15 years now. So I have delivered many solutions and even based on Power BI only across domains and geographies. So I have been taking part in multiple hackathons and won the Power Platform Hackathon recently. And I'm speaking in multiple community events in Europe and Southeast Asia as well. You can reach out to me anytime with Twitter, Triparna123, or LinkedIn. You can just search with my name, or you can drop me an email at triparna@gmail.com. You can directly message me in LinkedIn. So anything is fine. Any question, anytime, I will be happy to help you. So let's get started with today's topic is on Power BI, and how Microsoft wants to call it is discipline at its core and flexibility at its edge. And we will see how it works as we go along with the session. And as I give the introduction to Power BI, this session will also be aligned with Power Platform Fundamentals PL 900 exam, which deals with all the Power Platform areas, as we know, like Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, but 15 to 20% of it is in Power BI. So those 15 to 20% of the areas will also be covered as part of this session, which will be useful for anyone who is planning to take up the exam. So three areas is the fundamental areas that we have, which Microsoft wants to us to demonstrate the capabilities of Power BI in. One is to identify the common Power BI components that we have. And the next one is to connect and to consume the data. And the third one is how to build a basic dashboard using all the elements in Power BI. So as we go along, we see how things are coming together. As many of you must have already known that Power BI is a reporting tool. So it's completely a reporting and analytics tool. So what it does basically, it's bring the data from various areas and it presents it, and it allows people to go into ad hoc analysis or live dashboards, and so that they can get insights from the various data they have. So that will give them the power of taking the decision for the business. So this is how we see how things are coming together, and it at present supports more than 300 data sources. So you can just bring anything together in Power BI, model it, and bring a dashboard to life based on that. So it transforms data and it visually explore, and you can see how interesting dashboards it is helping us to present. And it works in both ways. So it's the enterprise analytics in one place, where it is will help the enterprises to see the value from their data that we already have and present in a pre-canned format. Like for example, some users, business users, just come and see the report and they consumes and see the data and goes away. Another part of the business users, it will help them to do the self-service. Like it will help them to see that, okay, the data we have, we can build our own reports, we can drag and drop things, we can clicky, draggy, droppy, what Microsoft calls, and they can really quickly come up with this kind of data. So what we have seen so far, all these has clearly put Microsoft much ahead of its competitors in the Gartner leaderboard. You can see right on the top. So that is how Microsoft is placed in the analytics and reporting market today. Now coming to the basic of Microsoft's Power BI architecture. So one to start with is the Power BI desktop. So desktop is nothing but a client tool which we are using to develop, bring the data together and then model it and develop our reports. So basically it's a development tool given to you by Microsoft, and it can be easily downloadable for free, and just you can start and go and start exploring today. And once it is ready, what we can see here, you can publish it to the Power BI service. So once we have it in the Power BI service, then it is available for anyone to access it through the URL, through a web page. And once it is available in the Power BI service, it can be consumed in the mobile applications through the browser or any of your mobile devices. So we have Power BI desktop, which is then pushed onto the service, and then it can be consumed through the mobile. So here I've just given the link where we can download, and here is the key performance indicator, a sample Power BI dashboard, which can be seen how it works. So any questions so far? So Preeti, we have any questions we can take at this point?
No, Triparna,
Yeah.
we are waiting for questions.
Yeah. So now let's go step by step how we go up to building a perfect visualization and reports in Power BI or dashboard. So first step, what we need to do is connect to data. So once we connect to data, we will see that the data is coming out in this format, and whichever tables or sources you have, that will be showing in the right hand side. So this is the screenshot from the development tool, the Microsoft desktop, Power BI desktop, that we will just see in our demo. And the next part is, once you get the data, it may happen that you have some unnecessary columns, you need to filter out some data, you need to bring some additional calculations to your data. So all these are part of the transform data stage, what we do. And we need to do the Power Query will help us to do this. But you might be thinking, oh, I need to understand and learn another new formula language to do this. No, Microsoft has your this query editor, what I was showing here. So we can just use this query editor with the UI, and just clicking things, we can just bring things together, and Microsoft will create the Power Query on the background, which we can see, but we don't need to code anything here. But in case of some complex things, maybe we might need to code it, but that is very rare case. And once we transform the data, we clean the data is ready for us, then we can go to the visualization part. So it has the out of the box visualizations, plus it has some custom visualizations which can be imported. Some are for free, some are paid, but these are coming along with the Power BI desktop. So once you download it, you get to use all these visuals. So once this visualization panes is available, you can just drag and drop to the Power BI canvas. We will just see each of these steps once we go ahead. And kind of visualizations we have is varied. So just to name a few, it can be pie charts, bar charts, combo, or it can be line charts or tree map, or waterfall charts or KPIs. It can be varied kind of visualization because it's a very advanced visualization tool that is presented to us. Next is the slices or filters. So when we have this data in the visualization, right, we might need to interact with the data. We might need to select that, okay, let me see the data for only this country, or let me just see the data for this particular product or a couple of products. So it can be single select or multi-select. It's basically filters which we place it on the Power BI canvas, report canvas, so that people can visually interact with the report and they can see what they need to. And filters is again another kind of options where you can select things, but it remains hidden from the report pane, and it gives you more flexibility options, and you also select, like, shows that what are the selections is available. So once you download the Power BI desktop and you open up, then it shows like report, the data and the model. So this is the report tab, this is the data tab, and this is the model tab where we do the visualizations. Now coming to two important concepts, what we need to understand here. So before that, Preeti, do we have any questions at this point?
Not so far.
Yeah. So now these two concepts are very important to understand when we are working with Power BI. One is the measure. For example, we want to see a sum of the sales amount or the average transaction value. So these measures are working in an aggregate. So it works across a particular set of data sets, either the entire data set or a subset of the data set, but it works in an aggregate format. So you can just write formula where it will just show that, okay, sum of this particular sales amount or average of this transaction value, as I mentioned. And next concept is of the calculated column. So calculated column, what happens is it will have some new calculation. It will enable us to build some new calculation based on the data already we have on the multiple columns that exist in the data. So once this multiple columns we put there, for example, I will give an example here. For example, we want the total amount. So it can be price multiplied by quantity. So we can have these, and then it will add an additional column, and that will be total amount, and that will be placed on the each of the rows. So it works on each row basis, and it takes some space in the model. So we should be aware that, okay, when we are building a new calculated column, it will take additional space in our model, because it sits in the model as one of the additional columns. And in the measures, we have custom measures, we have quick measures. For example, you may be not familiar with DAX calculations, or you may not be able to write the measures, but still Microsoft gives you a UI platform where you can just go and have these predefined functions. And DAX functions is the query language that we are using for coming up with this. So most of the users who are Excel users, they are familiar with DAX. And it is very simple function, like sum of the total sales into 1.6, then it will give you the profit. So what is DAX? It is a collection of functions, operators or constants, and which will give you a calculated return of one value or more than one value. So DAX is really important when we are doing some kind of calculations on the visualization side. So for example, we want to show some average transaction value. So we can just use the existing value and we can show that. Now, this is another important concept which I wanted to touch upon. So many of the models, most of us, we see that we do our analysis based on time. So time means we will have a table which will have all the date values. So it should be a continuous date values, and it is really recommended and best practice to have such a table in your model if you are dealing with the time. And it has the hierarchy of weeks, months, quarters, years. It also helps us to analyze our data through these hierarchies, and it also helps us to have these time intelligence functions. So with time intelligence functions, what we mean is month to date, year to date. So if we have this date table, we should mark it separately. We should tell Power BI that this date table is a mark it as a date table. So it internally it calculates that, okay, this date table should be used for our date calculations, and it makes things much easier and much performant. And when we talk about the dashboards, then we can have reports and dashboards in Power BI as part of the visualization. Reports, what we do is we bring different visualizations and we create one report. But we are interested to bring, for example, 4 things from 4 reports into one page. So that is where dashboard comes into picture, and we can do it in Power BI service, which I mentioned, which is the online service, and where we can bring all these visuals together from 4 reports, different reports, and we can place it in a single visual as you are seeing in this screenshots. Now to the concept of workspaces. So workspaces are just a logical division of, for example, I am working in a sales department. I have a workspace where I just post my workspace sales related data set, sales related reports, sales related dashboards, and another department, maybe finance, they have their own reports, they have their dashboards. So just not to have everything in one place, which might be confusing and puzzling for the users, it is giving a logical area where we can just have our things, and we can define our workspace, we can give it a name, and we can put our own things there. We can control our security based on the workspace. So all these things can be done. So workspace is a very important concept in Power BI, which is in Power BI service. Now, when we are going into the building the reports, it might happen that all our 5 reports are using same or the other parts of the data set. So we might have different data sets for different reports, or we can use a centralized data set, and from there we can build several thin reports. So the data sits and the logic sits in a single place, and we can just use our reports connected to that data set. So when we go there, it shows up like this, and we can just select the available data set, and we can go ahead with creating different reports based on that. So shared data set is a very important concept, because we don't go on replicating the same things, put the same data over and over again, which will make take more space, and it makes it more proficient. It gives us a single point of truth where everyone is referring to a single data set, and it's not that this data set is refreshed, this data set is not refreshed. It's not like that. So it is very important for us to see that whether we can leverage this concept of a shared data set, and we can use our thin reports based on that. So Power BI is a tool which has gone far ahead in the area of collaboration and share. So how we can collaborate and how we can share. Okay, we have built a report. The report is in cloud now. We can take it on our mobile, we can see it. But what about like when we work in a collaborative environment with our team members, with our colleagues, with our co-workers, with our clients? So there Power BI comes into play where it is completely integrated with the teams. If you have a Teams channel, you can show your Power BI report, you can launch your Power BI report from the Teams itself, and then you can talk to your colleagues, you can share with them, you can share your insights, and then you can comment, you can tag someone, then put the comments, okay, the figure is too high, can you please look into this? Then he will get the notification and he can just go and check that particular report. And then we can use it as an app. You can publish a particular set of reports or data sets as an app, which people can just download the app and consume it. You can directly share it so that people can have a link in their dashboards or reports in their mailbox, and they can directly open and use it. You can share it from the mobile apps also. So it's a great way to collaborate and share, and that way Microsoft has gone far ahead with Power BI. Just quickly touch upon the security part. So as when we deal with different kind of data and we actually build report on the ground, we should be aware that how the security works. So it works on Azure AD. So we can have this Azure AD account created and group created and gets added to the Power BI datasets. And then once it is done, then we can add these Azure groups to our workspaces. So as I meant, like security can be controlled on workspace level, and whoever is the member of this Azure group, they will be able to see or view the reports. Another kind of security we can do is on the row level security, which is like data specific. For example, I am from EU. I would like to see only the EU data, whereas someone is from Southeast Asia, they just want to see the Southeast Asia data. So that level of security is possible to implement in Power BI, and we can see the data specific things. Or I'm in a particular department, I just want to see the departments, whoever is reporting to me. So organizational hierarchy wise also, it's possible to implement the row level security in Power BI. Mostly as a developer, we will not go into administration, but just to mention that administration is an important part of Power BI, who controls that, okay, who can create the workspace, where they can publish it, where it's a premium kind of workspace or how it works, so the tenant settings, etc. So there will be a Power BI service administrator in your organization who will be controlling all this. So it is a good thing to learn, or if someone wants to take up as a Power BI administration, that is another role altogether. And if you are a developer, then definitely it's good to have a certain understanding. So just to touch upon on the licensing part, as I mentioned, Power BI desktop, if someone just goes and download now, it is just completely free. Then we have the Power BI Pro. So it comes with a trial version. After that, you need to pay for it. That is $9.99 per user per month. Then we goes to the Power BI Premium, which is like a capacity kind of. So you will have a dedicated capacity from Microsoft, and you end up paying $5K for that capacity per month. Whether you use it or you don't use it, it's just a capacity that you are buying and you are paying for that per month. And you can make use of everything there in that capacity. It will be dedicated, it will be secured, and no other organization will be using that capacity. So it will be dedicated to you. And nowadays they have come up with another one, which is premium per user, which is, you may not have 500 users, for example, but still you want to use the premium capacity, you want to use the additional features that comes with premium capacity, then you can opt for premium per user. And then lastly, we have the Power BI embedded. So it comes into play, for example, when we have a web application and the users have the access to web application, but we don't want users to go separately to Power BI to access Power BI. We just want Power BI reports to be embedded inside our application. And that's how we want to maintain our security. So that is licensed per capacity also. So it depends how the organization sees their requirement, and they can opt for any of these. Now enough of talking, let's go to the demo. So before that, any question, Preeti, we have?
Yes, we do have a question. It's from Avinash. He's asking whether for average user of other Microsoft platforms, how much time it may take for getting an expertise on Power BI, I mean, for developer.
Yeah, thanks, Avinash. This is a really good question for someone starting with Power BI. It's an obvious one that how long I will take. I must say that it will not take long, and why it will not take long, we will just see in next few minutes, because it's completely GUI based and it's clicky, draggy, droppy, and you can just do from very basic stuffs to going into advanced stuff. So it involves, as I mentioned, like three areas you can see. So you can just bring the data and you can readily use some visualization and put the data together. Or you can do some modeling where you join different tables, and from there you can get your data. And as you can see, these visualizations are already present there, so you can easily do this. And another good thing I should say about Power BI is there is a very vibrant community. So anything, anytime you have any questions, you can just post to the community, you will get your answers. There will be multiple, like Microsoft Learn. There is a, I have also included this in my slide for the references, where it will give you the step by step how you can complete that Microsoft Learn Power BI course. So that will also help you to see that what are all the elements of Power BI and get started. So I think 2 to 3 months should be fine for you. And but you should you and it's available for free, right? So anyone can just download and get started with it, and you will slowly get confidence. So there are many open data sets available. So you can just download any open data sets that is available for free, and you can just get started with this visualization.
Another question comes
Yeah,
from Avinash himself.
yeah.
Can a Power BI report be shown or embedded on public website? I mean, where the users are not paying for any licenses, they just view for free.
In the public websites, no, I guess, because you need to have that owning of that website, and then you can publish it there. So if it's own web application or something, it's possible to be embedded.
No, I'm saying, let's say I have a website where I'm a developer, so I'll of course pay for the license to Microsoft as a Power BI developer. But whatever reports that I'm getting from my data, and I want to show it on a real-time basis to the end users,
Yeah.
who is a public website, public-facing website. So can they view it, and can we publish a report for a free on my website?
Yeah. So as you are paying for the embedded capacity cost, so you will be able to, they will be able to see it for free. They will be able to access it. Just you need to share the link and they will be able to access it. So many times, I think some time back, someone came up with a Power BI salary standard across the world. And then they were giving like, okay, if you are working in Power BI, you just input in a form, and then automatically it was getting reflected that what is the average salary. So your data was also getting fed into that, and readily you will able to see, and also you will be able to see how the data for the other users are also impacting, so that you can see that, okay, what is the average salary, for example, for a particular country or across the countries. So yeah, that way it's possible to do it. So as you can see, this is a simple dashboards that has been created in Power BI. So we have a very simple data set, as I mentioned. Like, let's start with the connecting to the data. So we have these tables, simple tables. So this is just a sample data set that I have taken just to showcase the basic features of Power BI. So this is the source, this is the product, then this is the unit, and this is our monthly sales. And this is the calendar table where we have this calendar values for each and every dates that we have for the analysis. Now going into the modeling tab. So first we get the data, then we can clean the data, and after that we will come to the modeling. So modeling means how each of these, I have just shown 5 tables, right? So how these 5 tables are linked with each other. So this is the calendar, and this is the unit, this is the source, this is the product, and this is the way that we define our, so you can drag and drop. Otherwise, we have the manage relationships here, which shows all the relationships. So here you can see it is just with the IDs, it is linked with one another. So you can just select which table you want and which relationship you want, and just click, see source ID and source ID, they're already a relationship. And you can make a relationship active, and then the cardinality means it's many to one or one to many or one to one, like that you can mention it here. So that is how the relationship is defined. So in the visual way, how you will understand is, here you can see one is written, here many is written, that is star. So all these are many to one, and this is known as star schema because it looks like a star. And this is like the ideal schema in which Power BI works best. So when we would build our model, we will try to make it a star schema as much as possible. So if you are aware of Snowflake, it will be like product is associated with subproduct here. That will make it Snowflake. That will not make it a star schema, because that subproduct table will not be linked with the sales transaction. So it's recommended that we bring that subproduct into the product table, and then we have this product into this date key into date key. And it is always recommended to have these connectivities with the integer field and not any text field to make it performant, because if it is joining through text field, then it will always check with the whether it is same or not. It will check with the text, which will take more time than an integer field. So that is the reason we come up with this date key also. So rather than date, if we have a date key, then it will be a integer column, which will help us to link it in a more performant way. And same for the source. So all these ID fields, so it's recommended to have a ID field in each of your tables which you are joining with the main transaction table. So once we have that, we are happy with this connectivity and everything, we head on to the visualization. So I will just create a similar kind of thing, or maybe we can bring some other additional stuffs as well. So once we download the Power BI desktop, we will be able to see here, it will come like this as a Power BI desktop tool. So just click on this one, we will get this kind of a client tool where we need to build the Power BI report. So once we have, this is just a blank canvas, we don't have anything. Now we will see that how fast we can build it. So we just go here. You have seen that we have a background image there. So not image, background color there. You can also have image. So we will just have this, and we will bring the transparency to 0 so that our background color is visible. Then we have a heading of the report. So that is like regional performance 2021. Let's tell it as 2021 now. And then, for example, we have it like this. We have it bold. But now you can see this color is standing out, right? So we can make this background color. We can make the full transparency so that it looks like how we have in the another screen. And just it's a text box, so we can just drag it, make it like this. And then, for example, we will have some company logos. So I have a, just go to insert, image. Then we have a company logo, and you can just place it. Next is we will come to the cards. So what cards is used for? This visualization is mostly used for if you want to show some KPIs very big in your screen. So that way the key KPIs are being shown here. So if we use, for example, sales amount, so just drag and drop this, it will show you the total sales amount. So we need to give a title for this. So we can just write gross sales. Heading 3 is fine, I think. You can just make it heading 4. So, and after that, we don't need this sales amount, which is the column name. So we need to switch off the category here. Similar way we can have, so once someone comes to this report, readily they can see, okay, my gross sales is 57 million pounds. So readily they can see this. So for this reason, these cards are being used. So this is called the card visual. This is available by default. Then we can have some additional KPIs as well. So we can bring net sales here. Call it net sales. Now I will just come in a bit. Let's bring the quantity here, because that is also one important KPI, that, okay, what is my total quantity? So here, if you see in each of these card visuals, each of these visuals, you have 3 options here. Sometimes this option is available, sometimes analytics option is not available, but for all the visuals, these 2 options are by default. So this is where you bring the fields. So I will just drag and drop the field here. And then here you have the properties of that field. So if you see, we may not be interested in because it's just a high level KPI, right? So we might not be interested in this details. So we can just make it 0 or whole number. And here,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Riparna.
Yeah.
We have got another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to be aware.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, now here the company CEO or whoever is looking into this report wants to see that what at one glance. He doesn't want to always deduct gross sales minus net sales, right? So he wants one calculation where it will show gross sales minus net sales, just a simple calculation. So what we can do is we can create a new measure here. And we can name this measure as new deductions, for example. Equal. Now this is what we are writing, a simple DAX here. How we are writing? We are using the calculate function. We are using sum of gross sales, that is the sales amount, minus sum of net sales. So the measure I was talking about, this is the way we create a measure, because we don't have it available in our model. So once we have this, you can see this new deduction has come. And this particular card, we can then use this new deductions instead of the sales amount. So now it will show this minus this. This is this much million it is coming. And now as we have created our new measure, you can see the currency is not coming here. So we can format it into currency. So everything is UI, like you just need to write a simple function and then it will work like that. Yeah. So it is coming like this. And for example, we also need another measure, that is average transaction value. So what we need to do is we can create another simple measure and call it, for example, ATV, average transaction value, and we use calculate sales quantity divided by sales amount divided by quantity, right? So your total amount divided by total quantity will give us the average transaction value. So once it is ready with us, so now it is part of this model, we can just drag and drop this, and we have this one as a transaction value. So again, as it's a average transaction value, we need to show it as a currency. So we can just
By the time it loads, we have a query.
Yeah.
Vivek is asking whether is role-based security, how can we configure record level security? That means if we want users to only see the reports based on the access they have in the application.
Yeah. So it can be done in two ways. One is static row level security, another is dynamic row level security. So static row level security, we can just go here and modeling tab, I think. So manage roles. And here we can create a role. For example, so we can just create this role and we can just say that, okay, for this role, unit will be only this particular. So we just need to bring the unit here and we can just put this filter that, okay, this CEO will only be able to see this unit data and nothing else. So like that, we can define it here. So then the CEO role will be able to see this particular unit. But tomorrow, if you have another role which should show another unit, then you should make another row here and then you should say that, okay, this role will be able to see this unit here. So like that, it is like fixed, it is not dynamic. Another one what we can do is the dynamic, and that we need to do in our model. So we need to have a set of users in one of the table, and then we can see that, okay, this particular sales are done by this particular users, and then we can connect to that user to this sales, and then we can say that again we will go to the manage roles, but this time we will say that it is only for those who is for that particular user. So we will put this filter here now, and we will say that where this users belongs to that user. And how we will know that the person who is logging in, that is through this user principal name. So that is a standard in Power BI, that is user principal name we need to use. With that, what it is capturing the user that is being logged in. And once that user logs in, it will check in the background that, okay, this user is having these. For example, you have 100 records of sales transaction, but this particular person has only 10 records. So only those 10 records will be available to that person. So rest of the, so when you see these amounts, everything will be for those 10 records.
Okay, so in that paper now, when we say that UID, so that it
Yeah.
considers Azure AD ID or something else?
Yeah, Azure AD ID is the ID that you are configuring in your workspace when you are giving the access to the user. So now that Azure AD ID is coming inside this Power BI when they are accessing it. Now in your user table, you need to add that Azure AD ID there in your user table so that it validates against your Azure AD ID, and then it says that, okay, this person is eligible to see this data.
Right.
Yeah.
And if say data is coming through multiple workspaces or the data sources. So we
Mhm.
have to create a kind of a matrix for that, and then from there you have to pick, right?
Exactly. So a common list of users. So whoever is the users, you need to have that there, and then only you can check that user against that list of users. So whoever is logged in needs to be checked against that set of users. So if that set of user is missing, then that person will not be able to see anything.
And is that how it works? If we add with the role-based thing, so every user should have a role, or if a user is not having a role, the user will be able to see all the analytics or all the data, how it works?
No, the user will not be able to see anything, because what it does is in the model, it goes and checks against that. So it is trying to validate that, okay, this person is within this list, then how much this person should see. But if it cannot get your data at all, then you are not there. So it
Okay.
will show a blank Power BI will come actually for him.
Okay, so it means if we start with the role-based Power BI dashboard, every user should have at least one role or
Exactly.
that has been there into the list of roles, right?
Exactly. But here it will be only one role. Here you need to create just one role, and here it will be dynamically saying that, okay, this user equal to user principal name. Like you
Okay.
will have a user table here, and
Yes,
there
right.
you will just say user email equal to user principal name,
Correct.
because the user principal name is showing you that username, and
Yes.
then it is getting validated against this username, and this user is bind to this one.
Okay.
So but here you because it is dynamic row level security, you are not giving each and every user or each and every role one role. It's not like that. So it's
Yes.
just one role you define in Power BI, and it is working out through the model how the calculation or the relationship is working.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks for the question. So this one I'm just bringing, just in the interest of time, I've just brought this second one, that is the slicer, what we were talking about, right? So if you select a particular one, then it will show only that particular year or month data. And here you can rename this because you might not be liking this. So you can just rename this as month, year, and then it will show like this. And then you can have some hierarchy also, where you have product, subproduct category. So there also you can use this one. So I will just bring another slicer here, and then we can use this product hierarchy, for example. So if you bring this hierarchy, then you can see this till level, then category, then subcategory, everything is here. Need to make it bigger, I think. So here you can see everything is coming here. So whatever you select here, the data will be only for this particular thing. See, blank is there because cold food is not having any data, or March 2018 is not having any data. So it is showing like this. Quickly, I will bring another one, which is the...
A quick time check, Riparna. We
Yeah.
have got 5 to 7 minutes more.
Okay. I will just show another visualization, and then I will go to the workspace because that is very important. So it's just drag and drop. If you are interested in a column chart, you just bring a column chart, and then you can just have this month here, which you'd like to see in the axis, and then you can just bring the sales amount. Can also bring net sales in the same place. So you can see it automatically. So you can control the colors, data colors here, whatever you like, you can just control it. It will be changed like this. You can control the title here. So whatever you say, like gross sales and net sales. And you can see the legend you can put it here, you can put below. So everything is controllable. Everything you can easily control through this GUI. So once we are done with this, we are happy with this. Similar way, you can have pie charts. Then you can. So it will show like this, and you can control all of this. Okay. So once we are happy with this one, I'm not much happy with this, but once we are happy with this one, then we just need to go here and publish. Once we publish, this is the place where we have mentioned while we were going through the concepts that once we are happy with the desktop working of Power BI, we are happy with our development and the report, what we see, we can push it to the cloud. So this is what we are doing when we are pushing it to the cloud. We are just publishing it here. Yeah. So you can create your own workspaces. I have just by default, you will have your own My Workspace. So I have just that as of now. So see, this is, so once you already have the report there, it will say to replace it. You can replace it. Just a minute job. So once it, the time it loads, let's go here and have a look at the workspace. So app.powerbi.com, need to type app.powerbi.com in the workspace, and then it will give this kind of a look and feel. So these are the workspaces. So all these workspaces will be listed here. You can simply create a workspace. So you need a pro version, and then you can just try for free, and then you can create the workspace here, or you can use the My Workspace for now. So I have My Workspace here, and you can see this report is here and the data set is here. So in the Power BI like desktop, when you work, it's a single report. So it's a .pbix file which it produces, but once it pushed to the cloud in the service, this is the service, Power BI service, and here it gets splitted up into the data set and the report. And once you click on the report, you will be able to see the report. And here you have the export option, you have the share option, you can export to PDF, PowerPoint, you can open in Excel. Then you can share it with your colleagues. You can comment it. Here commenting option is there, so you can comment it, you can tag your colleagues. So all these things are available from the service.
There's one more query, Triparna.
Yeah.
It is coming from Pavan Kumar. He is asking whether Gateway can be downloaded by Power BI Pro.
Gateway can be downloaded by Power BI Pro. Yeah.
I hope that that answers your query, Pavan.
Pavan, you can see in the screen, right? So we have another option of Power BI Report Builder, which is like another like different kind of report. You can build the mobile. Here is the data gateway which you can download. See, I don't have a, I just have a free version right now, right? So you can download the gateway. So gateway is used when you need to work with a on-premise data source. For example, you have an Excel data source, the data source which is not sitting on the cloud. That data source, you need to do it here. Okay, see, once it is successful, it will show you like that. It will give you the link. You can simply click on that link and it will take you to the service and that particular report that you have just uploaded. So the published data will be, report will be available here. And the filter pane that I was talking when we were going through the concepts, right? This is the filter pane. It will be by default, it will be hidden, but it can be used. So if we put something here, for example, we put a particular product description or whatever. So it can be done for a particular, so from here also you can filter it. So you can just say that, okay, I'm interested in falafel. So you can see the data is getting changed, but by default it will remain hidden, and it is available in your service also. So if you see here, it is available here as well. So whatever you put there, it will be available here, and people can interact with it, and they can interact with this slices as well, which is there on the report canvas, but it is taking some space, but this filter is not taking any space. So this is what we have developed, and it is here, right? So just to give a cool glance on another kind of visualizations which can be done. Here you can see, here it's a search option. Here you can see the table option. I will show you in a better way.
Triparna, as we are nearing the
Yeah.
closing time,
Right.
we have 2 more queries.
Yeah.
Would you like to take them?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. The first is coming from Pawan again.
Mhm.
Can you explain RLS in a little more practical way? So maybe,
RLS or yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just to briefly touch upon, just conscious of time. So RLS is, for example, we have departments. So now different departments have different data, or we can take it as a geography also. So it can be done in both ways. So in a geography, for example, we have some regional manager, we have zonal manager, and we have country manager. So regional manager is only the regional manager for southern part of India, for example, and zonal manager is complete like southern western part of India, and country manager is complete India. So the regional manager will only able to see the southern part of India, whichever states there. So whichever reporting departments under him, he will be able to see only that. So how we can achieve that? Because whenever it is dynamic, right, whenever we are coming, that person is able to see only that data, and he have no access on the other data. So how we can do that? We can have these users, because finally it is based on the user, right? Whoever is logging into the Power BI. So if you see here, it is through service, right? They are not using that one. So this is what we have as our user, right? So once we log into this user email ID is getting passed into Power BI, and that can be captured in a code called user principal name. Once that is captured, if my this Triparna Ray, this one is being added in one of the user list, and we say that, okay, this is only linked with the southern part of data. So how we can do that? We have the entire data set, right? For example, 1,000 records. In that, 100 records or 200 records is southern part of India, and we tag it to Triparna. And we have another set of table where it says that who all are the areas which is reporting to Triparna. Then Triparna will be able to see only that, and will not be able to see the other North India, for example, data. Is it clear? Like, I can understand it needs more clarity. Like, but the organization is working like this. So we have to implement this, we can use path contains. So this kind of functions can be used where it will give you the entire hierarchy. Okay, Triparna means who all are under Triparna, and that way it will leave up to that. Okay, when Triparna logs in, she will be able to see only this. But when my manager logs in, for example, the country manager, he will have my ID in his list. So he will be able to see all the data, whatever my data plus my, for example, North Indian manager data or East India manager data as well. Pawan, is it makes it better or?
I think this is pretty clear, and maybe people can reach out to you offline
Yeah,
if they have
sure,
any more
sure.
queries, right?
Yeah, or
We
any
have already
particular
shared
implementation.
Triparna's contact details on the chat window, guys. So you may please go ahead and contact her. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, any time or any particular implementation you are doing also, I will be able to help in a particular scenario as well.
Definitely. Okay, so we'll be moving ahead with the closing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So thank you, Triparna, for taking out your valuable time and sharing these cool insights. And honestly, we would wish more coming from you. So due to the shortage of time this time, we would have to close it by now. And we would love to for you to be here again for more such interesting sessions.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you for
Really,
joining and taking
really a
time
pleasure.
for us. Thank you,
you.
Shams, for joining and making this session an interactive one. I hope your queries get answered and you have got really cool insights about the session.
Yeah, I think
Right.
Shruti has
One
some
thing
question. I think Shruti, you can reach out to me separately.
Yeah, or you can
Yes,
use this
ma'am, I
channel.
have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
was
in interest of time, we will want to close this so you can connect with Triparna offline. There is one more
Yeah.
query, Vivek, which you had. You can also connect in. Thank
Yeah.
you, Triparna, for the wonderful session.
One
And
more thing.
taking out time. It is pretty early in Nordics at the moment, so you have been awake very early on a Saturday morning. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and sharing the insights with all of us. And we have shared her connects in social media as well as her mail ID. You can reach out to her and she'll be definitely ready to help you. And for the recording, you can feel free to be in touch through our social media as well. It will be out on our YouTube channel. We typically take 3 to 5 business days. We are also techies, so as we generate time to edit this and then take it to our YouTube channel, that content will also be available on YouTube channel if you want to consume it at a later stage. It has been a great learning. Before I wrap up this session, I wanted to again touch base on one cool thing that is coming in November, where similar kind of learnings, but a lot of them over 2 days, right? 12 hours of packed content. And this is going to be SMEs, Microsoft themselves, MVPs, and international set of folks on November 20 and 21, which is GBAW, we call it in short form, or Global Biz Apps Weekend. Last year we did 24 hours non-stop. This year we are doing it in a different way. We are doing 12 and 12 hours. The announcement and everything is shared here, which we'll share in the chat window as well. And our CFS is still open, call for speakers. So you can just go ahead and submit the session as well there. And we'll be happy to see you speak at that global event of learning. That's kind of our annual event. And it is something we all organizers are looking forward to. There is a 10 to 11 member strong organizing team from all over the world, which is working non-stop to build this. There's going to be a lot of Microsoft goodies as well. Let me share it for the attendees as well as speakers, as well as there are going to be sponsor goodies. So if you're interested to be having some cool goodies on Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, feel free to be a part. And if you're sharing something basic, great. Or if you're as experienced as Triparna on the topic, we are inviting everybody, right? It is going to be a mixture of everything. So if you see here, there is a level as well, right? Everything from level 100 to 500 will be in undercover. Thank you everybody for hearing that out. Over to you, Preeti, back.
Yeah. Thank you, Dipesh. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining in today and enjoying through the session. I hope you all have got some very knowledgeable and cool inputs about the Power BI, and I hope you will be aiming for next PL 900 exam soon.
Yeah, thanks, Preeti. It was really a good opportunity for me to share the insights, and I hope that is some way helpful to everyone. Yeah.
Definitely. We look forward to see you again, Triparna.
Yeah. Thanks, Preeti. We'll
Thank you.
love to
Thank
come
you,
again.
Triparna.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to seeing you more and more on our meetups and different events.
Sure.
And with that, I'm going to end the recording. So just give me a quick
Sure.
second to stop the recording.